Some betrayals don't just break your heart, they shatter your entire life. A newlywed man, eager to embrace the life he had always dreamed of, was unknowingly walking into a trap. His wife and mother-in-law shared a secret, speaking in their native language to keep him unaware. Suspicious and curious, he secretly recorded their conversations. What he discovered was far worse than he could have imagined. His marriage, his love, and his entire future were built on deception. The excitement of the new marriage was still fresh. Their small yet intimate wedding had symbolized the start of a life together. Despite their different cultural backgrounds, their love seemed strong enough to overcome any challenges. But something fell off. Little things, easy to overlook but impossible to ignore, began to bother him. His wife and mother-in-law frequently spoke in their language. At first, it seemed normal, but over time, he felt increasingly left out. Wanting to bridge the gap, he asked his wife to teach him the language, hoping to connect on a deeper level. She brushed off his request, dismissing it as unnecessary. The conversation ended, but an uneasy feeling lingered. As time passed, a particular phrase in their discussions caught his attention. "You have to take care of this." Though he didn't understand the full context, his mother-in-law repeated it often, raising his suspicions. What did she need to take care of? And why was she so insistent? Another troubling change became evident. Before marriage, his wife had been excited about their future together. But now, she repeatedly refused his plans to travel abroad. Every time he suggested a honeymoon, she had a different excuse. "I'm too busy with work," or "now isn't the right time." His gut told him something was wrong. He needed proof. At work, he found an unexpected ally, a colleague who spoke his wife's language. Casually he asked, "Do you understand this language?" When his co-worker responded with a simple yes, his heart raced. He saw an opportunity. The next day, he recorded his wife and mother-in-law's conversation. With the audio file in hand, he approached his colleague for help. As the co-worker listened, his expression changed. A look of concern spread across his face. "Are you sure you want to hear this?" he asked. A chill ran down the husband's spine. His heartbeat thundered in his chest. But he had come too far to back out now. Then the truth unraveled. Each translated sentence cut deeper than the last. He wasn't a life partner. He was a financial asset. His wife and mother-in-law had chosen him solely for his wealth. His mother-in-law was drowning in debt, and his wife had deceived him to save her family. But the cruelest blow came from his wife's own words. "Manipulating him was so easy. He believes everything I say. He's so naive. He takes everything as truth." Those words froze his soul. The woman he loved, the one he had trusted with his heart, had never truly cared for him. To her, he was nothing more than a bank account. And that wasn't even the worst part. The conversation revealed even darker details. His mother-in-law urged her daughter to take full control of him, to exploit him for more money. His wife agreed, even plotting how to manipulate him further. Betrayal had never felt so cold. Now, faced with the truth, he had only one question left. What would he do next? He struggled to breathe. Never in his life had he felt such betrayal. Every moment, every whispered word of love, every embrace, it had all been a lie. But he refused to let his emotions control him. Instead of confronting them immediately, he decided to play their game by their own rules. His first priority was securing his finances. They had joint accounts with a substantial amount of savings. For days, he pretended everything was normal, acting as though nothing had changed. But every night, after his wife and mother-in-law were asleep, he carefully transferred money into his personal account. To keep up the act, he started small arguments with his wife, casually mentioning, "I'm setting money aside for investments to secure our future." It was the perfect excuse to move funds without raising suspicion. At the same time, he worked on gathering more evidence. He recorded new conversations, tracked her discussions with her mother, and even took online language lessons to understand them better. Each day, he uncovered more proof of their deception. Then, He found something that shattered his last glimmer of hope. His wife had a secret bank account. She had been siphoning a portion of his salary and the money he gave her, funneling it into a fund in her name alone. That was the final straw. His love for her had been real, but now there was nothing left to save. It was time to end this marriage, not with a dramatic confrontation, not with shouting or tears, but with a silent, devastating plan. For weeks, he continued to act like everything was fine. His wife believed her plan was working. His mother-in-law thought their financial troubles would soon disappear. Neither of them had any idea what he was preparing. Then the night came. Sitting at the dining table, he felt the weight of betrayal pressing down on him. But he remained calm. His wife, engrossed in her phone as always, had no idea what was about to unfold. Taking a deep breath, he spoke. "We need to talk." Something in his tone made her look up. His face was unreadable, his gaze steady, the calm before the storm. "About what?" she asked, feigning innocence. Without a word, he pulled out his phone and pressed play. The recordings filled the room. Their conversations, the mockery, the cruel words. Manipulating him was so easy. "He believes everything I say. He's so naive. He takes everything as the truth." Her face turned pale. Her hands trembled. This isn't true," she stammered. "Enough." His voice was sharp, cutting through her lies. "Don't lie to me anymore, because I know everything." Tears welled in her eyes, but he no longer believed them. Each drop was just another act in her web of deception. The woman before him wasn't the person he had once loved. "I didn't deserve this," she sobbed, wiping her tears. His response was cold and final. "You used me. You betrayed me. I truly loved you, but to you, I was just a wallet. And now, you'll pay the price." Reaching into his bag, he pulled out an envelope and slid it across the table. Inside were divorce papers. She gasped. He had already made all his financial moves. The joint accounts were emptied. Assets were transferred. All loopholes were closed. There was nothing left for her to take. Panic flashed across her face. "You can't do this to me. I'm your wife," she screamed. He simply smiled. "Not anymore. And you can't change anything. All your accounts are frozen. No one will pay your debts. And most importantly, everyone will know who you really are." She sat frozen, realizing she had lost everything. Then came the final blow. He had already sent the recordings and evidence to their close friends and family. The truth was out. There was no one left for her to manipulate. No one left to save her. She collapsed at the table, consumed by despair. But he felt no remorse. He had loved her. She had destroyed him. That night, he packed his bags and left for a hotel. She tried desperately to stop him, begging, crying, clinging to his arm. But it was useless. It was over, and he had taken his revenge in the quietest, most ruthless way possible.